Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking a journey into what is maybe the most unexpected source material we've had in a while.
I think so.
We're looking at the very detailed, very systematic gardening notes of a tech expert. He actually calls himself an old software plumber.
It's a really fascinating deep dive, I think, because we're stepping away from, the usual academic sources.
Right.
And we're looking at how this really organized, systematic kind of thinking, the kind you absolutely need for coding, translates almost perfectly into horticulture.
So our whole discussion today is built on the observations of this one blogger, Ang.
Exactly. He meticulously catalogs a potential new plant for his garden, and we get to follow that whole thought process.
And the start of the show, the centerpiece of his discovery, is this one single plant that honestly should be on the short list for any busy gardener listening right now.
Mm-hmm.
We are talking about the Rose Myrtle.
Or Rhodomyrtus tomentosa, if we're being scientific.
Of course.
So our mission today is to really pull out the key info on why this specific shrub is getting him so excited. It's not just about the facts, it's about the implications of those facts.
Why did a guy who codes in Elixir and studies open source software zero in on this one plant?
That's the question.
Okay, let's jump right in. Let's identify the core attributes, starting where, his curiosity began. The source says Ang found this plant during a recent field trip.
Yeah, he was visiting several local plant nurseries.
He was on a mission.
Clearly. He was looking for something specific, and this one it ticked a lot of boxes right away. He lays out the foundational facts almost immediately.
Oh my God.
It's classified as a native perennial shrub. But the thing that really elevates it for any gardener, especially, the low effort kind, is its bloom cycle. He describes it as free flowering.
Free flowering. That's a lovely phrase, but what does that actually mean? What's the practical reality for someone who wants their garden to look good without, constant intervention?
It means it can bloom anytime.
Anytime.
Think about it. So many garden plants, they operate on this really strict seasonal clock. You get this spectacular, maybe 2-week burst of color.
And then for 10 months, you get nothing.
Yeah.
Or worse, ugly seed pods.
Exactly. 10 months of just green. A free flowering plant is different. It's constantly generating new blossoms. It responds to local conditions, not some rigid calendar.
So for you, the gardener, that just means continuous visual interest.
With zero planning required on your part, you get flowers when the plant feels like it, which apparently is often.
That makes a huge difference. You're not banking everything on one short, spectacular window.
It's consistent.
Okay. And while it's a shrub, he notes it's a pretty substantial one. It can get up to 3 meters high.
Correct. 3 meters, so that's roughly 10 feet. That tells you right away we're not talking about some delicate little border plant.
Oh, this is more like a small tree or a big dense screen.
Exactly that territory.
So I'm looking for, say, natural privacy screening, or a big architectural focal point that's also tough. The size is a huge selling point.
It is.
Does he mention what kind of shape it takes at that size? Is it all sprawling and messy?
No, and this is crucial. He notes it maintains a structured, sort of small tree-like profile. It keeps that aesthetic appeal. But let's talk about where it lives, because that's where the resilient story really starts.
Ah, that juxtaposition he pointed out.
Precisely. Ang notes that it's commonly seen just thriving along roadsides in his area.
Roadside. So you're talking about compacted, ignored, probably polluted soil.
With zero extra water. But its native environment is completely different. It's much softer. Riverbanks and forests.
Wow, that is a massive difference. You have a plant that should prefer rich, sheltered forest soil or the moisture from a riverbank, and yet it's flourishing next to asphalt. That suggests something almost biologically extraordinary about its ability to adapt.
It does. It signals that it has a very wide ecological amplitude, as we'd say. It doesn't just tolerate bad conditions. It seems to actively thrive in them.
So for the listener, this basically means you can't really put it in the wrong spot.
It's pretty hard to fail with it. It's not dependent on perfect soil pH or specific drainage. It's a survivor, which is exactly what makes it so attractive to someone who values efficiency and robustness.
That's a great bridge into the next part, because if resilience is the baseline, then the next set of facts is where it gets really exciting.
Yes.
The author's moment, the thing that really captivated him, was the plant's remarkable hardiness. I think we need to define that. In practical terms, what's the efficiency equation here for a busy person?
Okay, the benefits are almost counterintuitive for a plant that looks this good. First, it's a fast grower.
So you get impact quickly.
You put it in the ground, and it doesn't spend 3 years just thinking about it. It gets to work. Second, and this is critical, it's highly drought tolerant.
Which in today's climate of extremes is not a luxury anymore.
Yeah.
It's a non-negotiable trait for sustainable gardening.
And this is where that minimal maintenance claim really gets serious. The source notes that on top of handling a lack of water, it requires virtually no fertilizer.
No fertilizer.
None. Just think about the labor saved right there. You don't have to buy it, store it, measure it out.
Or remember to do it. That's a huge psychological hurdle gone.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, gardening stops being fun when it turns into chemistry class with a schedule.
Precisely. Ang, the software plumber, he sees a robust system that doesn't need constant patching or debugging.
It's self-regulating.
Fast growth, zero fertilizer, high drought tolerance. The system runs on minimal external input. It's durable.
Okay, this sounds almost too good to be true. There has to be a catch.
Mm.
Is it prone to pests? Does it need a lot of heavy pruning every year to keep that nice structure?
Well, based on the source material, the answer seems to be no. The same qualities that let it take over a roadside, that inherent vigor, also seem to make it highly resilient against common pests.
And the pruning?
Its natural growth is structured so you're not wrestling with it. It's not something that needs highly technical pruning just to keep it looking tidy.
That's the difference between real maintenance and just minor aesthetic trimming.
Exactly.
Now, the author pulls all of this together into one really memorable phrase. And for me, this is the core takeaway of the whole deep dive.
Yes, this is the line that stuck with me too. He says, the rose myrtle has the vigor of a weed, but in the appealing structure of a small tree.
Let's unpack that, because it's just brilliant. If we break it down, the vigor of a weed, what does that mean in terms of garden management?
Vigor means survival. It means it establishes itself fast, it has aggressive roots, and a very, very strong will to live, even in terrible soil.
Weeds are good at what they do.
They're great at it. They recover fast from trauma, whether it's bad weather or pests. So this plant has that kind of metabolic resilience. It bounces back.
And then you have the other half of the phrase, but in the appealing structure of a small tree. That's the key. That structure is what turns a survivor into something you actually want in your garden.
That's it. It has a shape, a defined form, dense foliage, and those beautiful flowers. It looks like it belongs in a curated garden, not a ditch.
So you get the beauty without the burden.
You get high ornamental value without high maintenance inputs. It's the best of both worlds. It completely bypasses that frustrating trade-off where the prettiest plants are always the most demanding.
This is why Ang, with his systematic mind, was so drawn to it. He found the sweet spot, the optimal intersection of performance and efficiency.
Exactly.
So for you listening, why should this rose myrtle matter to you? It's basically the ultimate answer to the question, what do I plant if I hate garden maintenance?
It's the definition of a high-return asset for minimal effort. If you're starting a new garden or you have a tricky dry spot, choosing a plant like this just guarantees success. It minimizes the learning curve.
It sounds like he's applying a concept from his day job,
Mm.
choose the most robust, self-sufficient framework you can find and just applying it directly to his garden.
Which brings us perfectly to our final section,
Yeah.
looking at the author himself and why his perspective is so important.
Great.
Ang called the Rose Myrtle an ideal candidate. But there's this crucial real-world caveat.
Which is that despite it being perfect on paper, he hasn't actually planted it yet.
He plans to keep it on a short list and maybe buy it later. And the reason why is because he's already busy with other projects, gardening, fish keeping, and he's also recovering from an injury.
I find that detail so fascinating. It just grounds the whole intellectual exercise in reality.
It does.
Even when you find the perfect technical solution, the equivalent of the most robust piece of code, you still have to factor in the human constraints of time, energy, and physical health.
It shows that his methodical approach goes beyond just the research. He's applying project management principles. He's prioritizing his current active systems, the fish tanks, the existing garden beds, before he introduces a new one.
This isn't an impulse buy.
Not at all. It's robust resource allocation.
And the breadth of the resources he manages is just astonishing. You look at the sidebars on his site, and his systematic study isn't just about plants.
No, he writes about free and open source software, programming languages like Elixir and Erlang, AI, photography, even dieting and fish keeping.
He's a systems thinker across his entire life.
And the link here is vital. You mentioned Elixir and Erlang. Those are languages that are famous for creating robust, fault-tolerant systems. Systems designed to handle immense stress without crashing.
Ah, so when he chooses a plant, he's looking for the horticultural equivalent of elixir code.
Exactly. Something that needs minimal debugging, minimal refactoring, and can handle stress like drought or poor soil without failing.
That reframes this whole conversation. We weren't just talking about a tough plant. We were using the plant as a window into a highly efficient way of making decisions.
The plant is the conclusion, but the system's thinking is the methodology.
So the rose myrtle appeals to him not just because it's pretty, but because it is logically efficient. It meets his very high standards for robustness.
And his structured approach ultimately benefits us, the learners, because it gives us a shortcut to really well-vetted, high-performing knowledge.
Okay, so let's quickly consolidate the key takeaways on the rose myrtle, the Rhodomyrtus tomentosa.
Let's do it.
It's a highly hardy perennial shrub, can get up to 3 meters, so it's great for screening.
It's defined by being free-flowering, so you get consistent visual interest, and it has the ultimate trifecta of hardiness. It's fast-growing, highly drought-tolerant.
And needs virtually no fertilizer.
The epitome of minimal maintenance vigor.
It's a phenomenal choice for any efficiency-minded gardener. It offers, and I love this phrase, the vigor of a weed with the polished structure of a small tree.
A winning combination.
Definitely.
So before we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with one final thought. Something to consider that ties the plant, the source, and the author all together.
We focus today on the Rhodomyrtus tomentosa, a plant chosen by a technical mind for its hardiness and self-sufficiency, a stable system.
Right. And we saw how the author's systematic curiosity spans everything from programming elixir to keeping fish.
A true systems thinker.
So, consider this. If a software architect naturally looks for robust, self-healing systems in his garden, what field of knowledge or personal project in your own life, something that seems chaotic or inefficient right now, might benefit from applying the same kind of detailed observation and rigid logic that Ang showed in his gardening notes?
That's a great question.
Where can you apply the principles from your own area of expertise to simplify a seemingly unrelated part of your life and turn high effort into high efficiency?